Hi, and welcome to the next episode, the June 23rd, 2018 episode of Caught in the Third Act. What you're seeing right now is a website I found out about a couple days ago called lonelystreams.com. What they do is show streams that literally no one is watching from Twitch. And I'm hoping that I don't appear on here, so grab a few people and help me avoid being on this site. Uh, I'd really appreciate it. So today we're going to get back to work on Another World. I was kind of lazy over the last couple of weeks since we last talked, and I actually did not post it to the website like I intended to. I did not post the update to the first taste to the website like I intended to. I did not work on this in the last 2 weeks like I intended to. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Nonetheless, I will get that done this weekend. After the broadcast sometime. I'm going to go out with my niece right after the broadcast, so it won't be immediately afterwards, but we'll see what goes on, and hopefully we'll have some excellent additions to it by that point. So what should I work on today? Any suggestions? Anybody out there? Anybody care? Anybody at all? Am I talking to myself? I think I probably am. But I'm going to continue anyway. So, when last we worked on Another World, our dear friend was walking to a cafe with Michael. Hey. Yeah, I probably am talking to myself, but still, leave me alone. I'm a nice guy. I don't talk to myself often. Twitch. Get it? Twitch. Anyway, let's see. Yeah. Read the newspaper doing typesetting. I wouldn't call that rag a newspaper. Yep. The annoying coworker. I will give in to the hate and continue to work with the annoying coworker because he seems like an interesting character. I misspelled Michael. Okay, I quit. I'm going home. I gotta do it. Yes, I do. I do have to. He's a character in the story. I have to work with him. I cannot unmake him. It's not like he's the One Ring. I can't just toss him into Mount Doom and be done with him. What was the name of the cafe? The Grand Cafe, that's it. No, I can't. There are no volcanoes in Missouri, let alone Mount Doom. And I know I'm being a little too literal there, but still. I'm making a leap here, assuming that the Grand Cafe's interior, in my eye, is made up to look like a 50s diner instead of, well, instead of a 2050s diner. Uh, it is not. Uh, Mount Doom is only in Mordor, so get over it. There is no Mordor in Missouri. Well, M-O. Hmm. No, no, Missouri is not Mordor. But instead of its being the 2050s style diner, it's a 1950s style diner, which would be quite antique, I suppose, at that point. And it's not a lie, though Missouri could very well be Mordor, for all I know. It would explain things. Yeah, I don't know. But anyhow, yes, primitive people of the 1950s used to eat burgers and fries. Strangely enough, it's still done the exact same way today. And as far as I can tell, it will be done the same way off in the far distant future. Amazing. The technology involved in burgers and fries. It's going to be revolutionized one day, and no one knows what kind of utensils and things you will use to eat them. One can only hope that people will dip their fries in ketchup, or mayonnaise, as the case may be, and enjoy their burgers and their shakes just like we do today. Perhaps in floating booths instead of uh, ones stuck to the floor. Or our waitresses will be robots instead of actual people. But we don't know. But in 2053, it's still pretty much the exact same. But these two kids hadn't really thought that far. Ketchup is life. What are you talking about? It is not mostly sugar. And even if it were, you like sugar, so what's the big deal? Well, don't like ketchup, that's fine. But still, it is not mostly ketchup. It's mostly vinegar and tomatoes and whatnot, with a little sugar. Barbecue sauce is highly sugary. Hmm. Ketchup tastes good too, so there. Hmm. Hey, I grew up with Heinz ketchup and I love it. Leave me alone. I don't care if it's commercial brainwashing. Barbecue sauce is the same, and I will not be turned away from either. Sriracha. Yeah, well, keep working on it. You'll get there one day, maybe. Hi, Ninja, how's it going? Welcome to the broadcast if you haven't been here before. Uh-huh. Yeah, I've been meaning to enter a few contests myself over the last, well, 6 months really, but I haven't really managed to get myself together enough to actually enter any contest, let alone finish a story. I hope you win, and you have to come back and let us know. just had to work in another Dune reference. My bad. Yeah, I think it would be. I've only written or won one writing contest in my life. It was for a screenplay back in college a few years back, and that surprised the hell out of me, but it was awesome. So I really hope you win. And just to make sure I'm not completely just standing here talking to myself looking like an idiot, you guys can hear me, right? And I'm guessing that everybody in this town is quite familiar with Dune. Okay, good. Oh, what's your name? Just don't tell me it's Piter. I loved Piter DeVries, but that would be creepy. Alia. Ah, I loved Alia. Great character. Did you ever read the books? Or, for that matter, see the movie? Or do you try to avoid them because of the whole name thing? Hmm. I've actually got myself stuck here. I don't know what the two will talk about. Yeah, it took me a long time to actually figure out the movie and to not be freaked out by it. But I got obsessed with it towards the end of high school and started reading the books and got lost almost immediately. The books, especially the originals, are very dull, very dry, very political, and not a whole lot of action going on all at once, and so it made them hard to read. But actually reading them gives you an appreciation for the huge scope that Frank Herbert wrote the stories on. And it's an amazing story, all in all, for the first five books. And what his son picked up on were quite amazing, too, although they were a lot more entertaining. Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. I'd say read the originals first. If you can make it through those, you can definitely make it through all of the sequels and prequels. But it's a challenge. And if if I wasn't so more or less obsessed with the series myself, I probably would have given it up long before the sequels, or rather the books his son, Frank Herbert's son, Brian Herbert, worked on. I would have given it up if I wasn't such a big fan. But if you wanted to start to get a good idea about what was apparently going on in the whole universe by the time the original saga went on, read Brian Herbert's prequels. I can't remember who you co-wrote those with, but those are a lot more entertaining, a lot more fast-paced, a lot more interesting overall. And they set up just about everything that happens in the original saga, in addition to uh, finishing it. He did actually write the sequels to the book, to the original. So give Brian Herbert's books a try. Read those first, up to the prequel, up to the end of the original. I think it's like 10 books that they did originally, and then pick up the original series, then go back to the Brian Herbert series, the chronological order basically. But to this day, I still loathe actually reading the Dune series, although I love the actual books. It's complicated. It's a very complicated relationship I have with them. And from that, you would think that I don't like Star Wars or Star Trek, but I'm obsessed with those two. I'm a sci-fi nut. I think that was the first one. I think that was. And it goes back over. Actually, no. No, no, no. Where you should probably start is. God, I can't remember. I want to say it was the Butlerian Jihad, but it's not. Um, it takes place literally thousands of years before the events of Dune, and it sets up the reasons for uh, the Atreides not getting along with the Harkonnens. Um, it sets up the basis for it. Basically, the two houses were once upon a time very friendly. I can't remember the name of that first book though, but it actually may have been House of Atreides. It's I literally haven't read them since they came out, and I bought them, burned through them as quickly as possible, and I've been busy since. So it's been over 10 years since I read them, but it may be House of Atreides because I know that describes how they actually got their name and the origins of the house. So it could be. Tell you what, I'll definitely look it up, and if you check back on the website, caughtinthethirdact.com, I'll I'll confirm that for you. was the new boyfriend's name again? Absolutely. And really should be doing a better job. See, this is one of the things that I lapse into a lot of times when I'm getting into conversations, I just rattle off the conversations without actually describing anything else or mentioning what's going on or who's actually speaking. I try to, well, not necessarily try, but I tend to imply that the conversation is going back and forth. And I hope that comes across okay. But I need to work better on that, work harder on it. Because, I mean, I have unlimited pages. I can write as many pages as I want. Why don't I just fill this out? Habit, I guess. Usually about now I would be playing a commercial just for the hell of it, or in the idea of getting some support, but I think I'm going to do away with that from now on. So if you want to support me, well, you can support me through one of the ways, whatever, through here. But more importantly, more than money, what I want is comments, feedback, collaboration. So become a part of this. That's the whole idea behind Caught in the Third Act. I want people to help me write these stories, help me develop these characters and see where things go. I don't want to do this all by myself. Yeah, dialogue is fun, but so is action. So are other things. I should get lost in the minutia. How will I ever write a full-length novel if I don't actually get lost in the minutia? I like saying the word minutia. I don't think I've ever actually said it before today. Yeah, I suppose that's more or less what happens to me too. Um, I just get lost in it. It's becomes a focal point, something to actually deal with, as opposed to you feel like the story is advancing, even when it's not. It just seems more fun. And frankly, I used to hate writing dialogue because I didn't know how people spoke or how these particular people spoke. And so one day I more or less said, you know what, I'm tired of sucking at dialogue, and I'm tired of sucking at various things. I'm just going to do the things I hate so much until I'm comfortable with them. Not necessarily good at them, but comfortable with what I have done. And so now I seem to be focused more on dialogue than I am the other parts sometimes. Yeah, it is. I think for me, the hardest thing is always coming back and being consistent. Come up with a lot of ideas for various stories, and I go off and start working on the next story, the next thing that's got my attention and is inspiring me. And then I always intend to come back, but I don't necessarily do that. It's always been my intention to get all these things done, to write that full-length book and so forth, but so far my longest work, doublespace, is about 88 pages, and it's been incomplete for 19 years now. Uh, Next longest thing has only been about 22 pages, so obviously I get distracted way too much. But I'm hoping that'll change this time around with this project. Which is a shame. A lot of your stuff is awesome. I think I need to focus a little more on JT here. Because right now she's just kind of being reactionary, and we don't really know much about her, even though she's one of the main characters of the primary story. If by it is, if by is what it is, you mean awesome, you're quite right. It is what it is. You gotta finish Sadie. I've gone through that phase, and I think I'm still in that phase, frankly. Uh, what I did and found really, really useful, and I really should keep up with it and do it more often, is I challenged myself to write a new short story every day. It didn't matter what the topic was, how long it was, but to literally sit down every morning and, in the space of about a half an hour to an hour, write out a short story, whatever popped in my mind at that point in time, and write it to conclusion. And that got me to be a lot more flexible in how I can write. It let me handle improv situations, I suppose, a lot better than what I thought I could. Um, Basically, whatever pops in your mind can be a story. Everything has a story to it. Uh, this cup. there's a story to it. How I got it, how it was manufactured, the materials that it came from. It all has a story. It's just a matter of finding something to talk about with it and finding something interesting about it. A story, the only story that I've formally gotten published, I had wanted to essentially write for years. What it was is I had that principle, the idea that everything has a story, in mind because basically a rock sitting on the side of a road has a story. How did it get there? Who put it there? How did it get created? How did it get shaped like that? Did it just happen to fall off a truck on the way to some quarry or from some quarry? We don't know, but ultimately that led me to think, what can I do to write a story that would be interesting about a rock? And the story I ended up writing was about a little Japanese girl who was on her way to school one morning when she saw the rock floating in midair. And after school, she came back to find out what the hell was going on with it. And as a result of that, uh, she happened to be away from her home and caused her mother to come looking for her right when a major earthquake struck. So it's a interesting idea. You can find a story in anything. It's just a matter of figuring out what's interesting about whatever story. And thank you very much. It is an okay idea, but it was a lot of fun, and I really need to get back to doing it, even if I just mess around with stories. I got out of the habit of doing it partially because there were a couple of stories I wanted to go back and finish that I never actually did. And so I got focused on that one story that I kept wanting to go back and work more with and never actually did, and then derailed myself, and then a new job, moving, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and just never went back into the practice. But I need to, and I really recommend doing it. It will improve your improv skills as well. Fine. It is what it is. Now get back to work on Sadie. Or else. I know where you sleep. Excuse me. Wow, I just amazed myself. I didn't delete the entire word to add the I. Ninja, that's one of my old terrible habits that I've mentioned before on a previous broadcast. I have a tendency when I make a mistake, leave something out, misspell something, to delete the entire word and then retype it. So I just amazed myself. No big deal. No, that was not meant to be scary. It was meant to be friendly and funny. Yeah, well, the rest of us want to read Sadie, so get it on paper or digitally, one or the other. I've always tried to capture some of my weird dreams, but in recent years I don't dream as much, or at least remember them as much, so I don't write them as much as I used to. There was one dream that I always wanted to go back to try to write. Hmm, now that's interesting. Yeah, I am trying to be the boss of you. But there was this one dream I had years ago where I was hanging out with a bunch of people that I knew in the dream at a pretty cool mall. And one of the people was a girl who looked an awful lot like Anubis. Basically, she was furry, dog head, nice ears, whole works, but she was really kind of cool. And she was trying to tell me something specific, but I didn't understand what she was trying to say, nor did I understand what was going on. But we eventually just kind of wandered around the mall, ignoring what she was trying to say, and people started disappearing, and we all started running, and it was chaotic. But she basically grabbed my hand and held me back from something, and I woke up. I've always wanted to figure out what that dream was all about. They are, but they're very fascinating. I'm even trying to figure out just what the meaning of the dream was. A lot of dreams do have meaning, although a lot are just plain random. So, what was the meaning? What was my brain trying to figure out that involved Anubis or a female Anubis? What is the deal? sure fervent. I may have misspelled it, but I'm sure that's a real word. Alright, Google, we'll have to come back and take a look at that later. Alright, we're coming up on the hour mark. Today went awfully quickly. The last couple of broadcasts have gone very quickly. Alright, this is bugging me. 1 second. This is where we discover I no longer have the dictionary app on my phone. Ah, there it is. Alright. And the dictionary is trying to make me a liar, so I guess I'll really have to look up and remember exactly what I'm trying to say. See if this really is a word or not. I'm sure it is. I've heard it. But I probably have so grossly misspelled it that I can't find it. Either that or it's obscure enough that the dictionary app doesn't have it for some strange reason. Which thing happens? The hours slip by, or that dictionary app or other apps suddenly disappear from your phone when you need them most? Haha. So is E off? Much appreciated. Thank you. Haha, I was a little more off. Thank you very, very much. Not everybody's perfect. Not everybody's perfect. So this is her critical flaw with you, huh? And it's not that she's necessarily, you know, disinterested or hating dogs. It's just meh dog, whatever. She's exaggerating with just as bad, equating dogs with porn. You know, there are those people who always go around showing people their pictures of their children and their dogs and their cats and whatever it is they're absolutely obsessed about. She's one of the people that more or less just doesn't care about those sorts of things. Well, okay, this is her human flaw, okay? Does that make it better? I just added a little more depth to her. Instead of her being a one-dimensional perfect character, she has this one critical flaw. Alrighty, we are officially at the 1 hour mark, which means we have hit the end of this broadcast. Ninja, I appreciate you coming by, and I hope you come back soon. I do this broadcast once every 2 weeks. I think I will be out of town during the next broadcast period, but I will definitely schedule a new one sometime in the near future. Keep to the website, looking for it, and tell Liam I'm sorry. Uh, keep to the website, look to the website for the next broadcast announcement, and I will hopefully see you all very soon. Great, I'm glad to hear it. And I hope you had fun. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope that this is the appropriate sort of interaction that draws an audience, including you and others, to it. Spread the word if you care to, and I will see you all soon. Take care.